10 real estate law questions every agent and investor must know. Which law requires sellers to reveal known property defects to buyers? A. Law of agency. B. Law of disclosure. C. Law of consideration. D. Law of recording. Correct answer, B. Law of disclosure. The law of disclosure makes sellers legally responsible for informing buyers about known issues with the property. For example, a seller must tell buyers about a leaking roof before closing. This means buyers are protected from hidden problems. What does the Fair Housing Act prohibit? A. Price fixing by brokers. B. Discrimination in housing. C. Failure to record deeds. D. Charging high interest rates. Correct answer, B. Discrimination in housing. The Fair Housing Act ensures equal housing opportunities regardless of race, religion, sex, disability, or family status. For example, a landlord cannot refuse to rent to someone because they have children. This means housing must be offered fairly to all. Which law allows the government to take private property for public use with compensation? A. Law of escheat. B. Law of condemnation. C. Law of eminent domain. D. Law of zoning. Correct answer, C. Law of eminent domain. Eminent domain allows the government to seize private property for public projects, but owners must be fairly compensated. For example, a city buys a home to build a new highway. This means the owner is paid but must give up the property. Which law requires real estate contracts to be in writing to be enforceable? A. Law of recording. B. Law of contracts. C. Statute of frauds. D. Law of consideration. Correct answer, C. Statute of frauds. The statute of frauds states that real estate agreements must be in writing to hold up in court. For example, a handshake deal to sell land isn't legally valid. This means written contracts protect both parties. Under which law must lenders clearly disclose loan terms and interest rates? A. RESPA. B. TILA, Truth in Lending Act. C. ECOA. D. Law of escrow. Correct answer, B. TILA, Truth in Lending Act. TILA requires lenders to provide clear information about loan costs to borrowers. For example, a borrower is told their exact interest rate before signing the mortgage. This means no hidden loan surprises. Which law gives property owners along rivers the right to use water? A. Law of literal rights. B. Law of riparian rights. C. Law of accretion. D. Law of avulsion. Correct answer, B. Law of riparian rights. Riparian rights belong to landowners whose property borders moving water such as rivers or streams. For example, a farmer uses water from the river beside his land. This means ownership includes certain water use rights. What does the law of adverse possession allow? A. Banks to foreclose on unpaid mortgages. B. Buyers to assign contracts to others. C. Someone to claim land after long use. D. Tenants to sublease their rentals. Correct answer, C. Someone to claim land after long use. Adverse possession grants ownership to someone who openly occupies land for a statutory period. For example, a neighbor uses a vacant lot for 15 years and gains legal rights. This means unused property can be lost to others. Which law protects tenants from landlords entering without notice? A. Law of leases. B. Law of quiet enjoyment. C. Law of eviction. D. Law of agency. Correct answer, B. Law of quiet enjoyment. Tenants are entitled to use their rental without unnecessary disturbance from the landlord. For example, a landlord cannot enter daily without tenant consent. This means tenants have privacy rights. What does the law of fixtures state? A. Movable items are not part of real estate. B. Attached items become part of the property. C. Property contracts must be recorded. D. Title must be transferred by a will. Correct answer, B. Attached items become part of the property. Fixtures are items permanently attached to the property, so they transfer with ownership. For example, a built-in oven stays with the home when sold. This means not everything inside can be removed by the seller. Which law protects borrowers from discrimination when applying for credit? A. ECOA, Equal Credit Opportunity Act. B. TILA, Truth in Lending Act. C. RESPA. D. Law of Ethics. Correct answer, A. ECOA, Equal Credit Opportunity Act. ECOA ensures all qualified borrowers are treated fairly, regardless of race, sex, age, or marital status. For example, a bank cannot deny a loan simply because the applicant is retired. This means lenders must judge only financial ability.